I broke up with my long-term boyfriend, quit my job I hated and started an online business, moved from USA to Asia, and then broke up with my best friend, all in the span of a year and a half. And it completely changed my life for the better. I was terrified to take these leaps, but I didn't let that fear stop me. And it has opened me up to the life of my dreams that I always knew was out there, that I always had this nagging feeling was there for me. But if I had let fear win, never would have stepped into. So I'm gonna share the 4 mindset shifts that I had to make in order to be able to do that, and how I learned them through those 4 huge changes, so that I am living the life that I knew was right for me. And the reason I wanna share this with you is because I hear from clients all the time as a life coach, as a embodiment and intentional living coach who helps you live your happiest life in your body and in your world. I hear all the time, like, I know I need to do this. I know I need to break up. I need to lean into love. I need to heal my relationship with men. I need to quit this job. I need to get a second job. I need to move countries. I need to move states. But I'm scared. But I'm not quite ready yet. And what I had to learn through all of this is that ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. But embodying that is still really hard. So I'm gonna tell you the 4 experiences that taught me the 4 biggest lessons, the 4 scariest decisions I've made in my life that have allowed me to live a life that is not fearless, but is also not interrupted by fear. So the first thing that I did was break up with my long-term boyfriend who thought that we were gonna get married. And let me tell you, he was blindsided. Even though I had been telling him for months, like, hey, I'll break up with you if we don't fix these problems or if something doesn't change. Yeah, I really shocked him, shocked his family, shocked my family. We were together for a long time, and everyone would always tell us, like, when are you getting married, when are you having kids, one of those relationships. But to be completely honest with you, I knew that we were not gonna last. I knew that he was not the right person for me for a long time before I broke up with him. And the reason that I stayed, looking back on it, we didn't fight. He wasn't a bad person. He was a great guy. He was just so wrong for me, and we both knew it. The reason I stayed for so long was because I was terrified of losing my sense of comfort, of losing my sense of safety if I left that relationship. Because my thoughts at the time were like, yeah, I know I want to break up with him. I know this isn't right for me, but then I'll be single again. And what if no one ever loves me like this again? Or what if I'm making a mistake? Or what if I'm the problem in this relationship? But what I had to learn through finally sitting him down, and it was so brutal. Like, we used to watch TV and smoke weed like every night. It was so not the version of me that I am now. And we had watched like the fucking 3 episodes that we normally watch, hours long, spent watching TV. And I was just like, I hate this. I hate that this is my lifestyle. I want to be out in the world doing things. I want to be talking to people who excite me. We go in our room, we're done watching TV, and he's like, you want to do something else? I was like, yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like breaking down inside. He's like, do you want to read books? And I was like, no. And he was like, do you want to do some yoga? Because sometimes I would like show him how to do some yoga, and I would stretch a lot. And I was like, I want to break up. And then I just started crying, and he was like completely blindsided. And the first thing he said to me, which is such a slap in the face, is, I never thought you'd actually do it. And he's right. Fair enough. I wasn't going to do it for so long. And that's so embarrassing. I'm not one to get embarrassed, but like, I'm so glad that I felt so embarrassed at that time, because it really taught me the importance of lesson number 1, which is safety does not come from a person or a place. Safety comes from inside yourself. So I was so afraid to make the wrong decision, to be unsafe, to never be loved again, when in reality, that love I'm looking for, it comes from inside of me. And the way that I find it again is finding it for myself. The idea that I'll never be loved again is crazy. There are so many people in the world, and there are so many people just like me who who want the same things, who want to have an active lifestyle and travel the world and run a business. I've met so many of them now that I've moved to Bali. It's amazing. That was always there for me. So lesson number 1, safety is not in someone else. Safety is not in a certain location. Safety is something that you build inside yourself. And what safety really means is trust. That you'll be okay, that you'll figure it out, because you've made it through 100% of your hardest days so far. Why wouldn't you? The second thing I did was quit the horrible job I had. At the time, right around the same time, I was bartending full-time, overtime, getting walked all over by my bar manager, who was just like a really miserable guy in his mid-40s. Like, bartending was his biggest flex in life. Working overtime, making a bunch of money, to be honest, as far as like what I was used to at the time. But being such a people pleaser, always taking double shifts, always having to work late, having to deal with icky guys at the bar, like this nice fancy Italian restaurant. So I had to like be someone I wasn't. And I was just so miserable. And I had a savings goal because I knew that I wanted to, in this order, break up with my ex, go full-time in my business, and then travel the world. Had broken up with the ex, was now ready to go full-time in my business, which meant quitting this other job so that I had full time to give to my coaching business, which is what I've been doing full time since this. So it worked out. I had a savings goal. I was smart. Like, I didn't want to just like emotionally quit my job, but I knew I was miserable. And so I had a goal that I got to of like, okay, when I hit this amount of money in my savings account, I will let myself quit. And I hit that amount and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I kept going to the horrible double shifts. I kept letting this person demean me just because they were my boss. I put up with it for way too long. I put up with horrible, snobby customers who were like, my parents have been coming here for 20 years. You can't tell me that I'm cut off because I'm super fucking drunk at the bar. Terrible. Terrible. And I realized lesson number 2, which is that safety is not worth sacrificing my peace. So again, fear comes out a lot and stops us from making big changes because we're afraid of losing that safety. So this is why safety comes up so much. However, sacrificing my peace for that, being so miserable, so exhausted, so burnt out, disrespecting myself by letting other people disrespect me, I was sacrificing my peace and also my self-respect in the process. And so what I had to learn by finally quitting that job, finally being like, I'm fed up, I'm done with this, quit in a storm, and immediately feeling free, feeling this weight off my shoulders, being like, I actually did it. I was scared I wouldn't do it, but I actually did it. I'm free of the job and I have the money in my savings account. Like, that was never worth my peace to sacrifice. That feeling of peace that just flooded over me. Your peace is so important. People say like, protect your peace, but like, seriously, it's so, so important. Third thing I did was just move from the USA to Asia, obviously, as one does. I lied to myself and was like, I'm gonna backpack for 6 months, I'll start in Bali. And then I just never left. Like, I've traveled a lot and I'm so grateful to have traveled and seen so much of the world. And my friends are literally from so many different countries. I've met people from so many different places, from so many backgrounds. But I lied to myself and was like, I'll just travel for 6 months and then I'll come back to the US. Didn't happen. But that experience of being somewhere where I don't speak the language, I don't know the currency, I drive like a glorified moped everywhere, like one step down from a motorcycle. I haven't driven a car in 2.5 years, except for when I'm in the States for like 3 weeks at a time to see my parents. Completely different cuisine, like, oh my gosh, just everything is different. The culture is different. The holidays are different. I had Google Translate and Currency Converter and Google Maps like they were my Bible. Such a big change. And when I first did this, I was terrified I had made a mistake. Again, here's fear again, trying to get me to go back to a life that I know isn't right for me. Even though I've wanted to be someone that travels since I was 12 years old, and we had a foreign exchange student come to my high school, from my middle school, from Italy. And I was like, that's so cool. I want to be able to do that. And then I studied abroad in college, and then I traveled all over the US for a long time. And I'm finally in Asia, right? Like I'm finally somewhere completely different from home, which is what I've wanted for so long. And fear is still trying to get me to book a plane ticket to go back home. Still trying to get me to convince myself that this isn't normal. This isn't how life is supposed to be. You need to go back to everything you know, everything that's in your comfort zone. And what I realized through this important, super important lesson number 3 is so cliche because people are always like, life happens outside your comfort zone, but like, it's so true. The way that I would phrase this is that discomfort is not the same as a bad feeling or doing something wrong. So when I talk to clients, which book a consultation with me, it's in the description of the video. Let's talk about this. This is what I help people do every day because it's changed my life so much. I talk to them about their comfort zone, and I give the very classic circle, comfort zone. And I talk to them about how if it's not in your comfort zone, then therefore it's discomfort. And the way that we change our life is we become willing to be in discomfort. And therefore our comfort zone has to stretch. And in that stretching process, the same way that you would stretch a muscle, you feel your comfort zone expand, you feel the discomfort in the process. And what I had to learn from moving to a completely different place in the world and then not crying and running home to my mom was that discomfort is not always a bad thing. And actually being able to sit in discomfort is where the life changes happen. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you completely lack fear to make a big decision, you will be waiting forever. Because there is always at least a little bit of fear on the other side of the unknown. And that's why I said in the beginning, ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. Fear is almost always part of making the decision anyway. That's the discomfort. But discomfort is not always a bad thing. Discomfort actually is the door you open, the thing that you're willing to sit in that leads you to the life. Now, at this point, broken up with the boyfriend, gone full into my business, which is going great. Like I'm helping people, life is great. I'm working with people from all over the world. I'm successful, I'm making money, I'm happy, I'm financing my lifestyle. I'm in Bali, I'm traveling, I'm living the dream. I make a friend. And this person, in retrospect, is a great person. But we were not compatible at the time. We triggered the hell out of each other in a way that neither of us had the skills at the time to deal with. And so I just want to send love to that person. And they were a super important part of me learning the lessons I'm about to describe. But it was a rough one. And so I broke up with her. I have to be honest about how this friendship went down. Like it was kind of a slow domino effect of like me sacrificing bigger and bigger boundaries that I had with myself and with others, and them kind of just getting like slowly worn down. And I take full responsibility in that. I kept saying yes to doing things I didn't want to do. I would not like how something was said or done, but I wouldn't speak up for myself. And then I was building this resentment. And this other person also, in my opinion, wasn't very good at creating a safe space for me to voice those things. And so the friendship blew up and we broke up. What I had to learn from this, because friendship breakups bring up so many uncomfortable emotions, even though I know what I just said was true, I was like, am I a terrible person? Did I do all this stuff wrong? I was really messing with my own head of like, oh my God, am I actually a horrible person and I just don't know it? Are other people gonna find out about this because I was living in a small village at the time? Like, are they gonna judge me? Are they gonna think I'm terrible? Like, am I never gonna make a friend again? Fear, fear, fear. Fear being like, run away, you're awful, you can't trust yourself, nothing's gonna work out, everything's wrong. Even though logically, I knew that that wasn't the case. And so working through that friendship breakup, what I had to learn was that other people's approval is not more important than my love for myself, my acceptance for myself. We are so often influenced by what other people will think. I didn't break up with her for such a long time because I was terrified of how she'd react, how she would view me, how she would talk about it with other people, what other people in town would think, and it made the situation so much worse. And then after it happened, I still had all those feelings. However, looking back on it now, because it's been a year since that happened, and I've thought about it so many times. And I actually ran into her the other day, and it was nice to just chat. It still feels a little awkward, but I think we're good. We don't need each other in our lives, but I think we're good. What I've thought about so many times is how I could have handled that situation differently if I wasn't so afraid of what other people would think. I think that's one of the biggest problems we run into in life, honestly, is this fear of what other people will think. Think about if we fail, think about if we make a mistake, what they'll think about if we make a decision that they don't agree with or we have an opinion they don't agree with. And that's one of the biggest things that really gets in the way of us living our true lives. And I talk about that with clients all the time of like, what do you really want? How do you really feel? But we get so out of touch with that it can be so hard to even know what that looks like. And that's why the work that I do is embodiment. It's coming back to your body, coming back to yourself, and then intentional living, which is making sometimes scary, but really big changes through small steps. I don't do anything too crazy with you. One step at a time, right? But really allowing you to live the life that you know is meant for you. So I've shared a lot of big changes I've made, mistakes I've made, and I'm really curious as I've been talking, what's come up for you? What do you know that you need to do? What has been nagging for a while? Again, maybe it's a breakup, maybe it's changing jobs, maybe it's moving, maybe it's going all in on something. That's the work I do with my clients. So I'm so interested in what it is that you want to do, what you want to take the next step towards. Put it in the comments, let me know, like make it real. Doesn't mean you have to act on it right now, but start to put it out there into the universe because again, that feeling's not going away until you act on it. I promise you that. I spent so long trying to change that man, so long trying to be complacent in that friendship, so long trying to ignore the calling towards moving and traveling and starting a business. But my life now is beautiful. And if I had let fear win, I never would have gone for any of it. So I would love to hear what you want to create in your life. And as always, like and subscribe. I'm Sarah, I post a new video every week, and book that consultation with me if you want to talk about this in a way that's actually actionable. If you don't want to wait until you feel ready, because that time will not come, I promise, and you want to just dive in, you want to say F being ready, I want to just go for it. If you want ready to be a decision, contact me. Link in the description. I will talk to you soon. I love you.